What's up, everybody? I'm John Hoover. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to break down the news of the week so far. Man, it has been fast. It has been furious, but we got to pull it apart. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 are out. The Big 12 is in, along with the SEC and the ACC. Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlsby explained how the science that he has is apparently, kind of different from the science that's available, apparently, to his counterparts in other conferences. OU made two huge announcements this week. We'll get to those. And we talked to Joe Castiglione about it just today. All that and more coming right up. Okay, first things first. Remember, this channel is going away, so please take a second, click on the card up above, subscribe to my other channel. Everything that's going on right here is going to be going on over there. So when all this stuff is gone, that's going to be the only channel that I post to. So please, subscribe right now if you can. Go ahead. I'll wait. Easy to follow all my content on Twitter. It's the easiest way, guys. At John E. Hoover on Twitter. Find me on Facebook at John E. Hoover Media. That's where you're going to see all the stuff that I put up on Sports Illustrated's new affiliate, SI Sooners, allsooners.com. All the content goes on the website, of course, but I tweet it out, I Facebook it out, all that good stuff. If you like following everything the Oklahoma Sooners are doing, you need to get there. And you should get there often, probably every day, because we're loading that thing up. We've had 3 stories posted today before noon, so check it out. Okay, let's do it. What a week for college football, huh? Sad stuff. I'm getting a little verklempt here. The Big Ten Conference, has been in operation for 125 years, like before the airplane was invented, I think. The Big Ten shut down. No football for the Big Ten in 2020. I mean, seriously, can you believe this? No Ohio State, Michigan. No Maryland, Rutgers. And then, a little bit later on Monday, the Pac-12 shut it down too. No UCLA, USC, no Oregon, Washington, no Stanford, Cal. I love these games. I love every one of them except for Maryland, Rutgers. This is just awful. It's awful news. But you know what? This is Friday. That was Monday. Seems like 2 weeks ago. Seems like 3 weeks ago. The Big 12 Conference came out. Listen, of all people, the Big 12 Conference came out Monday night after the Big 10 and Pac-12 announcements had kind of decimated college football. The Big 12 voted to forge ahead and try to play the college football season. Notice I said try, but hey, that's what college is all about, isn't it? Giving it the old college try. Whatever, listen. 2 quick things about the Big 12. Number one, I've said it before. I've said it on our SI Sooners podcast, which you need to check out. There's a video over here. Just scroll through my videos. You'll find it. I wrote a column about it at SI Sooners. The Big 12 guys may have saved college sports. I'm not going to go into it too deep again right here. Check out that other video for that. But just know that without college football, a lot of scholarships and a lot of other sports would more than likely dry up and go away. I mean, I'm sorry, but that means, as I said, fewer nurses, fewer therapists, fewer teachers, fewer coaches in the workforce, fewer people who are making a difference in society. Because frankly, a lot of families, like mine, could not afford to send their kids to college without an athletic scholarship. So, number 2 on the Big 12. We can't forget this. This is amazing. The Big 12 was a dead conference just 10 years ago. Colorado, Nebraska, Missouri, Texas A&M, sorry. Those guys all bailed. Half the league wanted to join the Pac-12 too. Remember that? Then, what happens? The best they could get was West Virginia and TCU a year later. A couple of real lookers there. I'm talking historically, recent history, all the different conference iterations that those guys have been in. I think they bring something to the Big 12 Conference. There's no doubt. They bring value to the Big 12, but that was a desperation move to bring those 2 guys in, TCU and West Virginia in the Big 12. And then just go back to 2016. Just 4 years ago, the Big 12's what I call a national embarrassment when they had basically, open tryouts, auditions, online even for expansion partners. The candidates were so underwhelming that the Big 12 swiped left every time and finally just said, nah, never mind. We're not going on any dates with none of y'all. We're good holding at 10. Oh, what a joke that was. It was bad form by the Big 12, bad form by the presidents who voted to do that and left those schools, dangled it out there and then left them hanging. Whole thing was embarrassing. And yet here it is, the Big 12, again, of all people, voting at least to try to play college football in 2020. And in doing so, influencing the ACC to jump in there too and say, yeah, we'll try to play football. And then earlier in the week, you saw SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey tell Dan Patrick, if they were the only conference left standing, didn't really see the need, didn't really see the point of trying to be the only conference left standing playing college football. Even the SEC admits that wouldn't work. So that's how big the Big 12 was this week. Nice flex, Bob Bowlsby. So the question for Bowlsby then was why? Why did the Big 12 doctors and scientists tell their presidents and athletic directors it was okay to play football when, doctors and scientists and the Big 10 and the Pac-12 told their presidents and athletic directors it was not okay? Think about it. They all have access to the same numbers, right? They all have the same information. They all listen to the same scientists. They all listen to the same CDC recommendations. I mean, I guess that's why a doctor, gives you a diagnosis you don't like. You go get a second opinion. I don't know. Maybe that's selling it short. Here's what Bob Bowlsby said about that.
What we have heard from our experts is that some of the ramifications of the virus can be mitigated and can be properly managed. And as long as that continues to be the case, they believe that we can safely conduct competition and safely conduct practice. If we get to the place where it's their considered opinion that we no longer can do that, then we will be able to pivot very quickly to another course. But I think we can all talk to the same people. We can all look at the same data. We can all look at our own individual circumstances, and we can come to different outcomes. And obviously, that's what's happening.
Now, listen, as a matter of housekeeping, I want to clarify the ACC and the SEC did send out statements on Monday reaffirming their decisions to move ahead on the path to playing college football in 2020. Those statements came out about 2 hours before the news broke about the Big 12. But believe me, the ACC and the SEC knew what the Big 12 was going to do at that time. That's why they released those statements. They knew what they had already decided. So they got ahead of the thing and put out their statements. Good on you. All of which led to the big news the next day before Bob Bowlsby's conference call that the Big 12 had completed its revised football schedule for 2020. Listen, don't get too excited about this because just a week ago, exactly 1 week before the Big 10 closed shop, the Big 10 announced its schedule. Same for the Pac-12. Last week, put out their schedule. Everybody got excited. This week, we're going to cancel. So that possibility is still out there for the Big 12, for the ACC and the SEC and everybody else. But the schedule for now, the Big 12 schedule for now, includes a conference start date of September 26th, 3 open dates, and then a lot of flexibility on the back end to try to accommodate any potential, postponements due to COVID-19 outbreaks or on any particular team. So 1 non-conference game, 9 conference games, and the championship game, probably December 12th, but possibly December 19th. Hey, listen, at this stage, I like that a lot. Anyway, we move on. Oklahoma's season opener is September 12th against Missouri State. Nice little warm-up scrimmage against an FCS team that went 1-10 last year. Wah, wah. Then an open date, followed by a pretty tough stretch of games, most notably in October. Kansas State at Iowa State, Texas in Dallas, possibly a completely empty Cotton Bowl stadium. Think about that. That's going to be followed by another open date. Then road trips to TCU, which seems to be, the Frogs. I mean, Gary Patterson, give them credit. They're absorbing playmakers from the transfer portal. It seems like every other week. I don't know. Then they got Texas Tech. Kansas. November softens a little bit when you got Kansas, then a week off, then Oklahoma State, who I picked to challenge OU in the Big 12 championship game. Then you got a trip to West Virginia, always a little bit tricky. OU's never lost there, but you can't deny it's a long trip, and it's going to be tricky. You never know what the COVID roster is going to look like in November. And then, of course, the home finale against Baylor. Listen, we could go into the strengths and weaknesses of each one of those opponents. And frankly, at SI Sooners, allsooners.com, we have. Go back and look. Scroll on the website. You'll see our conference and non-conference preview of every team, including Army and Tennessee, if you want to read those. They're still up there. But seriously, we could break down TCU's returning starters. We could talk about the new coaching staff in Waco. We could talk about why Kansas State probably isn't going to beat OU again this year. We could talk about why Iowa State has the best defense in the Big 12. We could talk about what's going on in Stillwater. 3 offensive linemen in the preseason have decided to leave the team. Incredible. You know what? We could also talk about whether Texas is actually back. But the fact is, at this point, we're just hoping everyone gets back to practice, which is today for OU, by the way, Friday, after having a week off. We're also hoping for no more shutdowns, and we're also hoping that, by God, that season opener gets here on September 12th. And that's it. That's all we're hoping for out of this season at this point in July, August, moving into, hopefully, September. But then OU comes out with some more news on Wednesday. Big news if you're hoping to go to some games this year. They're projecting stadium capacity this season of 25%. It's big news. So let's do some math. 85,000 fans. You're looking at a little more than 21,000 fans per home game. Season ticket holders now, they were contacted Wednesday about this, about their interest in attending home games. Remember, OU has a waiting list every year in excess of 10,000 fans. So don't think those people are still going to get their tickets, but you never know. Some of them might slide onto the list. A lot of people are going to say, hell yes, they want to go to games. I mean, I do. But some are going to say, no, not this year. And I know this because, listen, just about every night I walk my dogs through the neighborhood around here. I've got neighbors who told me straight up, just last night, that they will not be going to games this year. They told OU to keep their money, they purchased their tickets, keep the money, use it as a donation, put it toward our points or however the system works. Keep it for the athletic department and use it whatever you need to. Give Lincoln Riley a bonus, who knows. But hold their spot in 2021 because they preferred to just renew their season tickets next year. This is happening. So get this. OU, I love this, is developing an app for your smartphone that will apparently handle all your needs from digital ticketing to parking assistance to being able to order concessions in advance. And you just pick them up at a designated time and place in the stadium. How cool is that? And I think we're going to be counting on stuff like this moving forward out of this pandemic because it's just too easy. Like shopping online for groceries. I don't even want to go to the grocery store anymore. I shop online for my groceries. OU's going to make some announcements later in the week about, or possibly later in the preseason. It might even get into the season if you think about it, about the OU Texas game, which stayed on October 10th, of course. That might include 25% capacity. It might include some other number, but then again, it might not. As of today, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, has decided there will not be any crowds at all by that time. I was just reading a story from earlier in the summer where he said they're going to have 50% capacity at stadiums. Yeah, that's not going to be the case. It might be the case. They might backtrack. You never know. Anyway, stay tuned. Right now, it's like Joe C said on the call several times today. We just don't know. So let's finish up with our conversation with Joe C. just this morning, not 2 hours ago. He had a number of things to say during a conference call with reporters. It went about an hour. He said a lot in that hour, but it was all good. Trust me. I had to pick out some highlights. And if you've ever tried to pick out Joe Castiglione highlights, it's hard because he says a lot, but he says a lot. So we're going to condense some highlights for you. We've got some stuff up at the website right now, sisooners.com. You're going to enjoy, but stick with me. I'm going to play you a clip to pay this off, and you will be glad I did. Trust me. Don't care which side of the fence you fall on, you're going to want to hear this. So I asked Joe C. about the optics of playing football, but not playing all the other fall sports like at OU, women's soccer, women's volleyball, men's and women's cross country. I mean, the question really is, hey, Joe, if it's safe enough to play football, why is it not safe enough to play those other sports? Well, it does look bad, doesn't it? Like everyone is finally admitting that, hey, it's college football here that drives the ship. It's college football that is the really big money producer. Of course it is. We all know that. Of course it is. But to push those sports to the side, to the back burner, to spring, as has been proposed, it doesn't look good. It's bad optics. Well, Joe C. said they're not going to move those other sports to the spring as the NCAA said yesterday when it canceled all fall sports championships. They're not going to move it because it wasn't safe. He said they would move them to the spring because that's when the championships were being held. So far, as of today. He said that he and his coaching staffs were, working today, Friday, to figure out some things and that they might have a little clarity a little bit later. Yeah, maybe. But as of now, NCAA President Mark Emmert's announcement on social media Thursday, it caught everyone off guard. Everyone, the athletes most of all. So I guess the question is, if there's no championship and you're only playing 6 or 8 or 10 games instead of 20 or 22 or 25, like in the sport of soccer, which is the one I'm familiar with, then, kind of what's the point? Joe C said he wants to see eligibility restored for fall athletes like it was last spring for spring athletes. You lose a season to COVID, you get a season back. I love it. He said Missouri State, which may or may not be on pay-per-view, trust me, it's going to be on pay-per-view, is going to conduct COVID tests using OU's testing apparatus, using OU's equipment, using OU's personnel. And they're going to test them 3 times that week leading up to the game on September 12th. And that third test is probably going to be at OU, not in Springfield. Smart. He also said that the announcement on Wednesday that the stadium capacity will be at 25%. Remember that one? Well, he said that's going to be a starting point, and it could indeed change. Could be less, could be more. I mean, thank goodness for that. I hope it's more, obviously. He also said plans are being discussed right now for tailgating. So nothing firm yet, but cross your fingers. And as for the difference between, the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the Pac-12, he said the leaders in the Big 12 felt, quote, very confident in the whole environment once they're on campus that provides a very safe path. Okay, I teased it. If you haven't seen it yet, here it is. We had it posted on our website this morning, allsooners.com. You need to be on there and check that out. But you can watch it and hear the whole comment right here. Here's Joe Castiglione talking about OU's mask policy.
It's not unsafe to walk on campus. Let's make it clear. It's not unsafe. It's not unsafe, to go to class if you follow these guidelines that we've given you. We have a masking policy on our campus. So you have to wear a mask everywhere you are on our campus. We have a masking policy in our city. You have to wear a mask when you're in a building. I don't think it requires a mask outside. But we're asking our student athletes to wear a mask everywhere. Just, it's an extra precaution. Wash your hands, extra precaution. Social distancing, an extra precaution. The same thing we're going to ask of our fans when they come to a game, if we're able to have fans and have a game. There's going to be a masking requirement. Come into the stadium and to stay in the stadium. You'll have to be wearing a mask through the entire experience. That's just the way it's going to be. I understand that might not be what people want to do. I respect that. I respect the fact they may not want to go to a game and wear a mask. But if you're going to come to a game at Oklahoma, it's going to be a requirement. And so we ask you to accept it. If you don't want to accept that, then you probably should make the decision not to come to the game. And there's just not going to be any argument about that. It is what it is. It's a cloth that protects you and it protects others. And let's just embrace it. It's for a good reason. And I think that's the same kind of information that can be applicable to anybody, and certainly to our students. And so when they come to campus, Sam, there's going to be that period of time, and we understand that there'll be opportunities, there'll be chances to socialize. They haven't seen each other for months and months and months. That's unusual. So we've worked through that with our student athletes as they have come back to campus, and they haven't seen each other either until they came back to campus for the most part. And so we're just going to have to continue to be disciplined as we can.
Strong stuff. Embrace it, people, or just stay home. Because if I know Joe See It All, you can bet your painted ponies that he's going to enforce it. That's it for today. Please remember to go subscribe to my other channel. If you're able to do that today, thank you. You rock. And don't forget, at SI Sooners, allsooners.com, all our content is free, and it's easy, and it's fun. SI Sooners, allsooners.com. Follow me on Twitter at John E. Hoover or on Facebook at John E. Hoover Media. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. See you guys.